Once again, we appreciate the privilege we had to host Cantor Moshe Habusha, and congratulations on a successful learning experience. In this video, we will examine the musical characteristics of El Mistater, the piyut, which opens the Alepian Bakashot ceremony, and explore what we can learn about Arabic music from it. Like the complex, mystical lyrics of this piyut, the melody is also mysterious and winding, displaying a deep connection to the meaning of the text. Adding to the sense of complexity is the use of melismas, where several notes are sung on a single syllable, such as on the syllable yon, the last syllable of the first line of the Bakasha. Yon. This also provides room for special ornamentation, which, as we have learned, is an important musical practice in this culture. While the Bakashot are generally sung in a syllabic style, meaning one syllable corresponds to one note, El Mistater Beshaf. Even within a syllabic song, there are syllables that are sung melismatically and thus receive emphasis. We also see how the melody adjusts to the text. Although the form is strophic, meaning the melody is essentially identical in every verse, it adapts with slight variations to accommodate the different lyrics of each verse. This occurs in all the verses of this piyut, as the music is meant to serve the text. To fully appreciate this, take time and listen to a whole version of El Mistater and look for these differences. Just before we started filming, Cantor Habusha told our student that this piyut is sung in Makam Bayat Husseini. Let's see what he meant. If you recall from our musical foundation unit, the Bayat tetrachord or jins consists of the notes D, E half flat, F, and G, with intervals of 3/4 and 3/4 and a tone. The full scale of Makam Bayat looks like this, from D to D, with E half flat and B flat. As we remember, the sixth note, B, can sometimes be half flat, depending on the direction of the melody, ascending or descending, but not always. If we look at the melody of our piyut, we'll see that it uses the exact same notes as Makam Bayat. So why did Cantor Habusha say that this melody is in Makam Husseini? Makam Husseini shares the first tetrachord with Makam Bayat and is therefore part of Bayat family. Although the rest of the notes are also identical, Husseini is considered a separate Makam in its own right and is the Makam of our piyut El Mistater. But wait, if these scales have exactly the same notes, why aren't they the same Makam? As we discussed in our musical introduction, the Makam is not just a collection of notes that make up its scale, it must also include a certain melodic behavior. And here lies our answer. While its scale notes are identical to that of Bayat, Makam Husseini's melodic behavior, the way the melody unfolds in this Makam, is different. Therefore, this is a distinct Makam with a different name. Let's turn to theory to understand this idea fully. In the introduction unit, when we learned about the manner in which makamat are constructed, we saw that each makam scale is built from a combination of two tetrachords, a method that was used by Greek theorists and influenced Arab theorists. According to accepted Arab theory, Makam Bayat is composed, as we said, of a Bayat jins and a Nahawan jins. The Nahawan jins starts on the note G, which therefore is the Ramaz, and will receive great emphasis in the melodic development of Makam Bayat. Makam Husseini, on the other hand, is built from a Bayat tetrachord from the note D and an additional tetrachord from the note A. This is a Bayat tetrachord on A, or chord, depending whether the B note is flat or half flat, according to the melody. Now the note A is the Ramaz, not G. So when we look in terms of scale, even though their notes are identical, the difference between Bayat and Husseini is their internal division into tetrachords. And their Ramaz is different, G in Bayat and A in Husseini. The melodic behavior so special to Maqam Husseini is the emphasis on the Ramaz, the note A, the most important note in the Maqam after the Qarar, the tonic or finalis, D. As you surely remember, in the Piyut El Mistater, the melody begins on the note A and we stay on it for a long time. El Mistater Be. One can feel that this note has great importance in the melody, and this is why we are in Maqam Husseini and not Bayat. In other words, as a rule of thumb, if the melody has the collection of notes of Maqam Bayat and the note A receives prominent emphasis, it's an indication that we are in Maqam Husseini. This doesn't mean that the note G cannot appear in Maqam Husseini, even in a significant way. In character, the Husseini carries the feeling or flavor of Bayat. As you become more familiar with it and learn additional pieces in the Maqam, you'll develop the ability to sense it. However, it also has a kind of brightness in the upper register that Bayat does not have due to the special melodic nuclei that characterize Husseini. Back to the scalar aspects. If we look closer, you will see that there are two different types of tetrachord connections here. In the Husseini scale, we see a disjunct connection, where there is a separating tone between the two tetrachords. The Western major scale is also built this way, as is the scale of Maqam Rast that we examined in the introductory unit. In the scale of Maqam Bayat, we see the use of another type of connection, where the final note of the first tetrachord is the first note of the second tetrachord. This connection is called a conjunct connection. Both these types of connections are used in constructing Western scales, but it's worth noting that in Arabic theory there is a third additional type that doesn't exist in conventional Western music theory. In Arabic music theory, there are cases when the tetrachords are connected in an overlapping connection, meaning more than one note is shared between the tetrachords. This happens, for example, in the scale of one of the most moving maqamat in Arabic music, Maqam Saba. We will revisit this interesting point about Arabic music theory in our summary section at the end of the course, where we'll explore some broader principles that underlie the unique features we've observed. For now, let's turn to a brief summary of our unit on the Aleppian tradition in the next video before we move on to our next unit.